Our first sub-minute clear. I think it's pretty fair to say that is not that far behind Yanagi, if not better. Welcome to another episode of Before You Pull. Except this time it's after you pull Miyabi, because everyone and their moms have been pulling for Miyabi, right? You, the person watching this video right now, have you pulled Miyabi? Yes, you have. Yes, you have, right? So since everybody has been pulling Miyabi, I figured, you know, for this episode Before You Pull, it's gonna be after you pull Miyabi, where I basically showcase a couple of things that we have been discovering for the past, let's just say for the past 24 hours since we got our hands on her, right? So without further ado, let's get into today's content. Okay, so for this specific format, I think this is the first time I've done a Before You Pull, quote-unquote Before You Pull, or after you pull in Zenless Zone Zero. So unlike Honkai Starbucks, where it is a lot more focused on team comps, team building, as well as tackling the different endgame content, for Zenless Zone Zero specifically, all of the content, they can be seen as roughly the same, right? It is basically how you control your characters and how they go about killing the enemies. Sometimes there's a bit of a difference here and there, like for example in Battle Tower, it's basically, there isn't really a time limit, it's at 10 minutes, but just don't die. And then for like the Disputed node, is basically survive. By the end of the day, the combat is still very, very similar, where you wanna dodge stuff, hit stuff, and kill stuff. So for this series, for Zenless Zone Zero, we're gonna start off with Miyabi, and after you pull Miyabi, the first portion, I kind of want to go through a bit of the, some tips and tricks, advanced tips and tricks that you may or may not have found out when you pulled for her. Hopefully, you guys know all this, even without me telling you. But from the couple of gameplay that I've been seeing, as well as even from my own villagers, in my own Zenless Zone Zero Discord, at discord.gg for you, a lot of people just unaware for a lot of this kind of gimmicks. They can substantially improve your overall quality, performance, and comfort when you are going to be using Miyabi. Right? So hopefully, I'm going to be listing out five tips and tricks that will change everything if you are going to be using Miyabi. And then after these 5 tips and tricks, I'm going to move on to her comparison with the different kind of team comps. I'm going to just show you guys what are the differences between each, right? But spoiler alert, you don't need Yanagi, right? So going on immediately into our tips and trick segment. The very, 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 very first thing that I noticed that a lot of people just don't do is swap back. The quick swap. Type 1 if you know that you can actually quick swap with Miyabi. So I'm going to be doing this very, very slowly. Alright, so swap back with Miyabi is essentially specifically referring to the part where after you are charging your level 3 charge attack, you can actually instantly swap to the next unit while it is letting go, which makes your rotation a lot faster. So let me just get my full energy real quick here. Okay, so this point, right, you have 6 stacks of the... You have 6 stacks of the thingy right now. So usually, if you were to, you know, just play her normally, because she's invincible for the entire duration, you just press and hold, and you'll finish up this animation, and then you'll start continuing from there, right? Or if you want to swap to another unit here and there, it kind of goes on. So that is if you don't use the swap back. Okay, so now that you have 6 stacks, the swap back is after you charge your level 3, you can use that attack animation to instantly swap into another character. I've mentioned this in my creator experience guide, and I probably mentioned this again in my CN guide, but just in case you guys are not making use of this, it will make your rotation basically around 2 to 3 seconds faster. It might not seem like a lot, but this will compound every single time you use a level 3 charge attack. So over time, it will start to add up. So from 2 to 3 seconds, it will become 4, 6, 8, or maybe even 10 seconds the more you use this level 3 charge attack, right? So the difference might not be that crazy compared to like a 4-minute clear with like a 4-minute 10-second clear. But the difference will be very, very apparent if you're trying to go for like an extremely fast clear, like a sub 1 minute or a 1-minute clear, right? So this is the swap back. You will charge. During this, you can see that she's still on field, and I can already swap to Yanagi. Right, she's still on field, and I already swapped to Yanagi, and you can basically repeat this for any unit. Whether be it Yanagi, whether be it for Lucy, be it for any unit, it will basically help rotation be a lot faster because the final drag of her level 3, it lasts quite long. It does, in fact, last quite long. So I'm just going to do it again. So charge this, instantly cast this, and you can trigger this at the same time while she's still on field, right? So this is a very, very nice trick to just make everything just a lot faster, and yeah, hopefully that helps, right? So trick number 1, swap back, swap back. Type 1, if you know how to make use of this. Yippee. The next trick for Miyabi, aside from swap back, I would say that they are both very, very up there in terms of improving the rotations, but this one is gonna be a lot more important, especially if you are running Miyabi with a secondary anomaly unit such as Yanagi. And this tip is essentially looking at this button over here, the anomaly gauge. The thing with this anomaly gauge is you wanna make sure that you don't waste your energy if they are already close to hitting the anomaly. So for example, if you are using Yanagi against this enemy, and if you were to let go of a EX special, right? So you can see that this anomaly has a roughly 40-ish%. Alright, so we're just gonna let it charge. We're just gonna let it charge. If you were to activate Shock now, you basically have 10 seconds to activate Miyabi's Frostburn. If you do not activate Miyabi's Frostburn in this time, so I activate Shock, right? So if you were to not activate Shockburn in this time, the Shock will actually expire, which means you cannot even trigger the disorder. So now the Shock is expired, and the duration of 10 seconds is actually very, very short. And this is even more prevalent if you're up against the first half of Shield Defense 7, because the guy is weak, or rather strong against ice. He has ice rest, which means you are building up your ice anomaly at a much slower pace. So what ends up happening, especially for players who are running Yanagi with Miyabi, is that they end up activating this Shock. So they end up activating this Shock, but they don't trigger the Frostburn fast enough. So now that we activated it, it actually gives us a disorder. So that's very, very good. But if it's not fast enough, you end up wasting the proc that you would have gotten from Yanagi. This is also quite important if you kind of want to look at the ultimate bar, right? Okay, notice how this Shock anomaly is almost at max, right? It is almost at max. So if you were to use your Yanagi ultimate here, it actually doesn't lead to overflow. So whether or not you use your EX skill here, or whether or not you use your ultimate here, it is still gonna reset the Shock back to 0. Alright, so if I were to press ultimate right now and trigger this, you can see all that is completely wasted, because bro is already at maximum Shock. So your value you would have gotten from Yanagi's ultimate was actually very, very low, and it will also affect the frequency of you triggering disorder with Yanagi and Miyabi. So this can be applied to pretty much any character, right? If you're running Burn with BUHnice and Lucy, if you're running Electroshock with Yanagi and Rina, you need to remember to always take a look and notice your anomaly gauge. So if your anomaly gauge right here, so Frostburn is triggered, right? So once Frostburn is triggered, this has a lot of window for you, because Frostburn lasts for a ridiculously long time. So it can be quite easy to trigger the disorder here. Boom, and then we get another one. Yep. So it's very, very easy to trigger your disorder here. But if it was the other way, especially if you're up against enemies that are resistant to ice, Miyabi will encounter a situation where she cannot apply Frostburn as fast. And if she can't apply Frostburn as fast, you are completely unable to trigger your disorder with Yanagi or any unit. Because for Yanagi, okay, for example, for Yanagi, right, this EX special, it only triggers polarity disorder if there's already another anomaly applied on the target. This will not trigger anything if there's nothing on the target. You ideally want to trigger Frostburn first before Shock, because once you trigger Frostburn, your entire team has 20% more anomaly build up, right? And Frostburn lasts longer. Shock only lasts for 10 seconds, Frostburn lasts a lot longer than that. So by right, you want to trigger Frostburn first. But here is where the question begins, especially against an enemy that is resistant to ice. So I'll just showcase you guys this to hopefully make sure that you guys get what I'm saying, right? So notice this guy, right? Bro is resistant to ice. You can see that without an AM Mashi main set, we are building our Frostburn extremely slowly. So we have to be on field for very long. Yeah, that's just yeah, we have to be on field for very long. Because if we were to not be on field for very long, and we want to instantly swap into Yanagi right there, it might lead to a situation where your shock is gonna expire. And if your shock expires, you cannot trigger disorder, which is gonna be very bad. So, alright, so if you were to go up against this guy, right? If you were to instantly proc Yanagi shock right here, and then you want to go ahead and it is actually very long before you get Miyabi's Frostburn. So right now, just nice we got it right there. We just nice got it right there. But if it was any slower, you would have missed that disorder. So I was a little bit suffering for success because I'm too good at this game. But if you were like missing your shit, that shock was literally 1 second away from finishing. Okay, let me just lower my skills real quick. Alright, let me lower my skills real quick, because I need to make an example of like what happens if you don't do that. Okay, so we applied the electric shock, and you can see he is still quite far away from. Okay, so at this point, the shock has expired, and you are still basically like what, only 60-ish, 70% towards accomplishing this Frostburn. So that very first shot that you have done with Yanagi, it was basically completely wasted. So you basically wasted the energy and wasted the skill and wasted everything. It serves zero purpose. So ideally, you would want to trigger this Frostburn first. Hello? Yep. So you have 6 stacks. And then you trigger the disorder here. So you can see now you have a lot more stacks, and then you can instantly chain into your next EBA tree, right? That is the second tip. TLDR, be aware of the enemy's attribute anomaly bar, especially if you are running Miyabi with dual anomalies. You don't want to waste their skills, and you don't want to waste their disorders. So, yippee! Type 1 if you also understood that. If you understood those two things, frankly speaking, you are already... Frankly speaking, you are basically already better than, I would say, like, majority of the player base, because those two are probably the most game-changing impact that you can apply to your own Miyabi gameplay, especially against enemies that you are using double anomaly. Third tip. Okay, the third tip, I actually discovered this over time when I was doing the battle tower, which is Miyabi herself. She has a lot of built-in iframes, specifically from this basic attack right here. So this twirl, this little Herta spin, she is completely invincible, and she makes a very satisfying parry sound. So because of this, you can actually deal, or rather build up the Frostburn anomaly while still being invincible and continue to do whatever you want to do. And the good thing about this 5th basic attack is that a lot of Miyabi's kit can chain into her EBA, or rather chain into her basic attack 4 into 5. So it's basically every dodge counter, every parry, every EX skill, every EBA tree, every ultimate, all these can allow you to chain into your EBA 4 into EBA 5. Which means that there are a lot of windows where you can, like, quote unquote, do some Yasuo plays, right? Do some faker Z plays, where it's actually very satisfying. So passing on EX skill here, it will... Okay, I misclicked that. That's EBA 4-5. Dodge, EBA 4, EBA 5. Skill, EBA 4, EBA 5. Dodge, EBA 4, EBA 5. So you can see, that is the parry. So during EBA 5, even if you were to get hit, it's like you're completely invincible. So this EBA 5, it parries again, right? So you actually don't have to dodge that much with Miyabi, and be a little bit more bold by using this 5th hit to continue your chain over time. So if you're not in the animation, then it's quite bad, right? So if you were to parry Miyabi here, parry, it also changes to 4 and 5. Dodge, EBA 5, skill, EBA 5, completely invincible, right? So there are a lot of opportunities for Miyabi to basically be greedy, right? Play her as greedy as possible, because you don't really need to cancel out from a state if you are able to manage this EBA 4-5. That being said, there's one bad thing, which is the iframe for the skill, as well as before 4 and 5, is extremely slim. So for Miyabi's EX skill, right, it's basically just this. So if you don't follow up, you are basically gonna hit. This is one of the shortest iframes compared to a lot of our other units' EXQ. So for example, you're using Koleda, you're running Anwen, you're running Zhuyuan. Their EXQ have a much higher duration of iframe, but Miyabi's EXQ is very short. The moment you do this, you are getting hit. So if he punched me right there, I would have gotten hit. So you need to be a little bit more wary. And if you connect with this, then it wouldn't be that bad, right? So that is tip number 3. It might not change everything. It might not be that impactful compared to tip 1 and 2, but this is especially useful, especially in higher pressure scenarios like Battle Tower or enemies that heal very frequently, or if you have M2 Miyabi. If you have M2 Miyabi, you really want to abuse this EBA 5 where you're completely invincible, and it will help you get stacks a lot faster, alright? So be greedy. Don't dodge all the time, and just try to get more comfortable with the fact that a lot of your chains leads into a lot of iframes. So that is gonna be tip number 3. Yippee! The 4th tip for Miyabi. This is going to be tied to her ultimate. So specifically, if you were to take a look at her kit right here, her ultimate, it gives us increased ice damage by 30% for 12 seconds, as well as giving us 3 points of Fallen Frost. Which means the most optimal time to use this ultimate is ideally during the enemy days and when you have less than 3 stacks of Fallen Frost. So the moment you activate your ultimate, you would have gotten the value from these 3 stacks, finish up with an EX, or if you're just on 6 stacks, you can instantly follow up with your enhanced basic attack 3. But what happens if you are already at 6 stacks? So in this scenario, should you use your enhanced basic first, or should you use your ultimate first? Because if you were to use your ultimate first, you are wasting 3 stacks of Fallen Frost, but you are gaining 30% ice damage for your next EBA. If you use your EBA first, that means you are not able to get the 30% ice damage for this specific EBA. Alright, and honestly, the answer is very simple. Use your EBA first. The reason why is because the time it takes for you to get back 3 stacks and cast another EBA after out is extremely fast. So if you were to go ahead and just pop this instantly, a rotation with Yanagi would give you at least 2 different stacks. So casting ultimate after you already have 2 stacks will instantly place you at 5, and triggering Frostburn will give you the final stack. And almost every single time this happens, you will still get that 30% ice damage boost for both the ultimate, the EX skill, as well as the next EBA that follows up. Whereas on the flip side, if you were to cast your ultimate right here, when you have 6 stacks, you are gonna be losing 3 stacks of Fallen Frost. And if you were to expand them now and then convert back here, you will notice that unless you have max energy to instantly pump them out, it is a lot more likely for you to not hit the next EBA basic. And another thing is, during a normal Shiyu defense scenario, it is almost impossible for you to use more than 1 Miyabi outs, because by then the enemies will be dead. So even if you were to use your ultimate earlier, because technically if you use your ultimate earlier you can get more decimal points afterwards, it is not like you're getting enough decimals to get you another ultimate in the same fight. So generally speaking, it is a lot more recommended to whenever you have 6 stacks, always let go of these 6 stacks before anything else in the game. Before you're out, before your EX special, before your everything, right? Always let go of this 6 stacks first and go from there. And that brings me to the final tip. And this final tip is actually not even about Miyabi. It is about this. Your support. So with the recent update to Zenless Zone Zero, you are now able to use all 3 ultimates at the same time. Which means previously underutilized ultimates actually have a lot of value to be gained. Specifically, your support units like Sokaku, Lucy, Rina, Nicole. Because if you were to take a look at what their ultimate does, every single one of your support's ultimate, they have the same exact effect. When using this skill, other squad members recover 10 energy, and the next character to switch in recovers an additional 20 energy. And this line is consistent for every single support. Which means if you are going to be using support, and you should be using support with Miyabi, you are able to get a free 30 energy whenever you cast your support's ultimate. And this is going to be allowing us to squeeze out basically almost 2 more stacks of Fallen Frost, and it makes our rotation feel a lot smoother. So this can be the same for Lucy, it can be the same for Sokaku, for Rina. Use your support's ultimate as frequently as possible and don't forsake them. Of course, you also need to keep in mind to not use this if your Miyabi is already close to full energy. But this tip has been diabolical because before this, I didn't even know that every single support had this mini Hue out. So now I actually discovered it thanks to my chat yesterday, is that apparently every single support is a built-in Hue. And definitely make use of this ultimate as much as possible in your Miyabi gameplay, and it makes the rotation feel a lot faster, right? So that is it for the 5th tip, and to kind of just summarize all 5 tips, does chat remember the 5 tips? Does chat remember the 5 tips? No. No one remember the 5 tips. Oh, that's not too good. No one remembers 5 tips. Okay. Number 1, sword back. Number 2, look at the enemy's attribute anomaly. Number 3, make use of Miyabi's built-in parry and play her more greedily, right? Be more greedy with Miyabi. Number 4, use Miyabi's ultimate only if you do not have 6 stacks of Fallen Frost, right? Always use Fallen Frost 6 stack EBA 3 first before ultimate. And number 5, remember to use the support's ultimate. So hopefully these 5 tips would help you to get a better Miyabi playing experience. And yeah, I wish you guys a wonderful Zenless Zone Zero journey ahead. But you thought this was the end of the video? No, because now it's gonna be the next portion, which is we are gonna be running Miyabi with the different kind of team comps and to kind of see the differentials between her with Yanagi as well as other units, right? I want to specifically refer to this tweet right here, which I have made I think a couple of hours ago, which is this right here. There has been this saying that Miyabi needs Yanagi. I'm not sure if this saying is still going around, but I can say with 100% certainty she absolutely does not need Yanagi. In fact, I would dare say a Miyabi Yanagi team comp is technically more annoying to play, especially for the casual player base, because you need to monitor the anomaly status a lot more. If you do not monitor the anomaly status and you end up either wasting the EX skill because it is close to shock, you do not prod disorder because you applied your frostburn too slow, or simply if there's too many different colors in your screen, running hyper carry Miyabi, it is completely 100% viable, right? So I kind of did this little showcase here where I basically ran her with Koleda as well as Lucy, right? This is honestly one of, if not the quote-unquote worst teams for Miyabi, because first of all, she's not running mono eyes, so she can't get the eyes rest benefits from Sokaku and Lycon. Second of all, the synergy between her and Fire, it might not be that great, especially if you do not have Lighter. So this is like the free-to-play Pro Max, or rather the free-to-play version of a Fire team, right? And thirdly, if you actually want to trigger more disorder, running BUHnice here instead of Koleda technically can give you more disorder procs, which means that you can in fact gain more Fallen Frost stacks. But what I've noticed is that even if I do not run her with dual anomaly, she can still function quite nicely because the enemies just die so fast. Yep. It's gotten to a point where because the enemy dies so fast, you wouldn't really feel the downtime of the Fallen Frost stacks, because what I have kind of witnessed is that within 2 breaks and 1 full ultimate rotation from all 3 units, nothing in this game will survive, especially in the current endgame content, unless we are playing Battle Tower. If we are playing Battle Tower where the fight can go on for like 5 minutes, then that's gonna be a problem, right? But because right now Miyabi just does so much goddamn fucking damage, it doesn't really matter if your Fallen Frost decks generate at a slower pace. Because if each individual level 3 charge attacks can deal a ridiculous damage, the enemies would die before you encounter a Fallen Frost shortage issue. So technically speaking, like this specific team, right, like we are running Koleda with Lucy, we are technically generating Frost decks extremely slowly. We're essentially only relying on Miyabi's own kit, as well as a little bit of disorder from both Lucy and Koleda. In fact, I was using this level 1 Bambu just to stack on a little bit more burn to trigger a little bit more disorder. Basically, I think we triggered disorder like, I think once or twice throughout this entire fight, right? Aside from that, we still managed to get a pretty decent 1 minute and 28 second clear against a ice resistant stage without making use of Yanagi, which is also extremely boosted by this current Memory of Chaos, or rather the shield defense buff, right? So TLDR, you definitely do not need Yanagi for Miyabi to work because her damage numbers are just absolutely diabolical, right? Very good. So with that out of the way, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I fucking hate Lycon. I hate Lycon and Sokaku. Not from a damage perspective, but more so from the way they play. Both Lycon and Sokaku, I am extremely bad at their because they feel very slow. They feel very clunky. It doesn't feel nice. Whereas even for units like Koleda, she's like super fast. So I don't really feel that bad if I were to use a Koleda team. Even if technically speaking, Mono Eye should give you more damage since you have Ice Res down as well as the stun multiplier from Lycon, right? But that's just me personally, which is also another reason why I feel that for Zenless Zone Zero, your Shogun, right? The feels of the combat itself is very important when it comes to what is optimal for yourself. It doesn't matter if theoretically speaking you can deal more damage, but if you're not confident with this, it's just getting hit left, right, center, then it really does not matter that much. So I'm gonna start off the first team with Miyabi, Yanagi, Lucy. Unfortunately, your boy does not have Rina. So it is what it is, right? I don't have Rina. I'm going to be using a more free-to-play option as Lucy. It is what it is. Let me just make sure that my gears are more or less there. Okay, yeah, my gears are more or less there. Alright, cool, fantastic. Bada boom, bada boom, bada bang. I'm expecting a 1 minute 20 or like 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute 20 will be pretty good against this Ice Red stage. Okay, chat, I'm gonna lock in, so I'm not gonna talk that much. Yeah, I think that's not too bad. I think I made like one mistake somewhere at the start, but towards the end, I kind of got the flow locked in. I think that is not too bad. Could it be sub 1 minute? I think it's definitely possible considering that I'm not goddamn Rexon, right? And I'm still a tourist. I just got back from Honkai Starbucks, so I feel like I'll take this. I will personally take this. Generally speaking, I was trying my best to pace out the anomaly distributions. I was trying to pace out the Lucy's attack buffs because I don't want her to overstack. You notice just now, I was spacing out my Yanagi ultimate, Lucy ultimate into a Miyabi ultimate. And generally speaking, after you use these three ultimates, the enemy will be dead. So you will never reach a situation where you will run out or rather use a second ultimate, right? So that was one point. Second point is I try to apply Frostburn by the second trigger. So at the start, I was kind of, activating a little bit of the electric shock and then went back to Miyabi to kind of get it to the halfway point. So by the time we trigger the shock, we have 10 seconds to trigger the Frostburn. So we get a disorder and then let go of the level 3 charge test. And every single time I was doing level 3 charge test, without fail, I'm using sword back. I think this is the most important tip. Always make use of sword back because it basically saves you 2 to 3 seconds of combat time compared to if you just stay locked into the animation, right? Lucy's field time is very short. Basically just use EX skill and go. If you have Rina there, it might be even better because Rina does give you a team-wide penetration buff. And she's also electric, which means that you then can build up the electric bar a little bit faster. But what I personally think is it is not that significant to build up the electric shock anomaly very fast because the bottleneck is not your electric shock. The bottleneck is your Frostburn from Miyabi, especially against this butter bitch, which is resistant to ice. So your build up is just a lot slower to begin with. The difference between Rina and Lucy is it's alright, right? I feel like I'm not really suffering that much without a Rina, right? But if you do have a Rina, especially an M1 Rina, then it is gonna be quite good. So I'm logging in this as my clear for Miyabi, Yanagi, Lucy. Okay, next team. This team, I would love to showcase the lighter. Because technically speaking, if you were to compare the clear speed from lighter as well as Miyabi, you are able to basically clear at almost the same time. And that's including the fact that you're playing the Yanagi team optimally. For a lighter, or rather any hyper carry team with Miyabi, you will find that there are a lot less things to juggle, right? You don't really have to care about anomaly build that much because you're not really stacking on disorder that much anyways. And it's a lot easier to just swap in a stun unit, apply your daze, and just swap back out, right? So I would say that lighter, although your ceiling is probably going to be lower than Yanagi, it does require less attention as well. And the human mind can only have this much room for attention, right? You can only notice your anomaly build, whether you're timing your attacks properly, whether you're timing your parries, your chain attack, your ultimates, as well as your fallen frost decks. So, if there are less things for you to monitor on the screen, it means that there are more things for you to improve on in other departments, right? You can dodge better, you can parry better, you can time your skills a little bit better. So, ultimately, I feel like if you don't have Yanagi, lighter, Lucy, and Miyabi is honestly a very good team. But since I don't have lighter, I have an excellent replacement. Threw down on me. She is basically lighter light. And they both play kind of the same. Lighter will definitely let you deal a lot more damage because of the ridiculous amount of buffs it's providing to your ice DPS. And generally speaking, he definitely has a lot more in the table compared to Koleda. But one good thing that I've noticed for Koleda, especially my Koleda, is that we have this M2. I'm sure this is, oh my god, unrelatable, but this M2 is fucking diabolical, guys. We get a lot of stun value from this M2. So, use this as a pinch of salt. But I'm just going to kind of showcase the rotations as how you will use Miyabi with a quote-unquote hyper carry team comp, right? So, also this bump is completely useless. I like to just use, if you have the Rocker Boo, great. If you don't have the Rocker Boo, I just use this guy. The Nerd Boo. Because Nerd Boo has fire attribute anomaly and it gives us a little bit more fire so that we can trigger burn a little bit more. So I'm just using level 1 Nerd Boo and we're just going. And the start is literally exactly the same. 1 EX skill, 1 of this, and it kills everybody, right? Try to position as close to the boss as possible so they can just start off. We can instantly just go in. Yep. We're not really at the fire anomaly yet. Get a nice little counter there. Trigger Frostburn right here. And then we get the Fire Burn right here. Go back. Fire Burn is triggered, we get the disorder. And then we are able to get our 6 stacks. Okay. Bump. My Koleda ultimate does no damage because like, she's not maxed out yet. So we go there's this, then we activate Lucy's ultimate to give us a little bit more energy. So Miyabi is able to use her ultimate, give us 3 stacks, proc the Frostburn, 4 stacks into 1 skill, 6 stacks, and then we can just let go again. Then this point change to Koleda because we have a lot of energy, and then we just build up on this. Then use a skill again, and then use a skill again because M2 is broken. Yippee! And then we get back. Fire anomaly. Should be able to almost get the burn right here. We have 2 EX skills, so we do have 6 stacks. Let this go. This one is not really going to do too much. And he is basically dead here. Yeah, he's basically dead here, right? Oh. Okay. So 1 minute 21 second clear. 1 minute 21 second clear, which honestly is honestly really good. All right, and okay, I'm gonna keep it about chat. I've been practicing, right? I have not been a tourist. I have been practicing this off stream so that I wouldn't embarrass myself. But the rotation is basically you don't really care that much about the anomaly, or rather the anomaly bar that much. You just build up the days, and whenever your days triggers with both Lucy and Koleda in the same team, the burn attribute will just around just nice fulfilled. Activate Frostburn back into Burn for the Disorder, and you would have enough stacks to kind of let go of your enhanced base attacks. After you let go of your enhanced base attack, quick swapping into Koleda wouldn't really be that beneficial because Koleda itself doesn't really deal that much damage, right? So one thing to note is that for Koleda specifically, if you quick swap into Koleda, especially during the enemy day stage, do not use your EX skill, right? Because you only ever use your days units EX skill when they are not dazed to build up your days bar, right? So notice just now during the swap, I didn't use Koleda's EX skill at all. I just instantly ran her ultimate and then swapped back into Lucy, and Lucy kind of just rotates back into Miyabi. So your Miyabi's field time in a hyper carry team is gonna be a lot higher compared to a Yanagi team, right? But you can see that the differential is really not that bad because even though we weren't getting as many Fallen Frost decks, it was just basically 10 seconds slower. And if you're using lighter, you can probably shave off another 10 seconds. So the differential between a hyper carry Miyabi or a duo anomaly and Miyabi, as of this current endgame content, I would say it's very hard to tell the difference because she does do so much damage and the enemies just die so fast. It is literally the difference between one more or one less enhanced level 3 base attack, which, you know, might not be that significant, right? So if you're only thinking about, you know, clearing endgame content, if you're not trying for like fucking floor 100 or something, yeah, just know that it is completely viable to run Miyabi without Yanagi. Next team. I feel like these two are like the most prominent, but I kind of want to just showcase maybe another popular team that some of you guys might be thinking of, which is the Mono Ice team. The team that replaced Anware, right? So that is gonna be with Lycon and Sokaku, which also plays kind of similarly to a hyper carry. The problem I have with this team is I fucking suck at Lycon and Sokaku. Their rotations feels very off, and bro is not even maxed. Okay, to be fair, my Koleda is also not maxed out. Right, so I'm just saying, right? Definitely take this with a grain of salt because my Sokaku and Lycon, they are a little bit raw, right? They are a little bit raw. So do take this with a pinch of salt, right? Oh, bada boom, bada bang. Let's go. Hold on, EX for Lycon. Ooh, okay. I want to get Frostburn. Am I doing it right? I don't even know if I'm doing it right. Get my buffs. Pop. What if I run out of EX? What do I do? What if I run out of EX? Get a buff here. Instant 3 stacks. Okay. I think we just do this. We already gotten the 6 stacks, so we'll pop this here. Six stacks. I'm holding down my EX. I'm cooked. Ding. Wait, I'm almost done.
Is her engine worth pulling?
Wait, I'm a little bit busy here. Okay, this is it. Okay, I'm not doing that again, but definitely a lot of room for improvement. Lycon mains don't kill me. I'm so sorry. I just don't know how to use Lycon. I feel like Lycon mains don't kill me. But you know, hey, for tourist gameplay, I'm taking sub 2 minutes. For a tourist gameplay, for a completely ice dress enemy, we are taking sub 2 minutes, right? Hey, can we get a dubs? A small dubs. A small dubs. Sub 2 minutes from a complete dog shit Lycon Blaze and Ensokaku. And yeah, mono ice team, which if you ask me if this is better or worse compared to like Lighter and Lucy, I personally feel that Lighter and Lucy gets more damage done. This stage specifically is really not a good benchmark for mono ice because bro is literally resistant to ice, right? So your Lighter and Lucy, he's not resistant, but since this guy is resistant to the entire team, probably not a very good benchmark. Also, I was running Koleda instead of Lighter, but it is what it is. But if you guys do want to run mono ice, I just want to say one thing. Airware is waiting for you. That's Airware's team. Lycon and Sokaku, they are Victoria housekeepers. You're not gonna abandon Airware, right? You're not gonna abandon Airware. You're not gonna steal Airware's team from Miyabi, right? Don't do that. Okay, so that is gonna be that for the mono ice team. I feel like we can do one more team and we'll wrap up this after you pull Miyabi. And this team, it is basically BUHnice 2.0. Oh wait, I meant Yanagi 2.0. BUHnice. BUHnice, frankly speaking, she also is, you know, a very solid contender, if I can say so myself, right? Full transparency, I played this team a grand total of 1 time. So expect some non-perfect B-rolls. I didn't really test this team that much because I cannot stand the idea of BUHnice getting joined from Jane Doe. It makes me very upset. So I do have a little bit of a, you know, a little bit, but we're gonna see how this is gonna work out. I think we can run Sons of Caledon, right? Yeah, let's run pick. Okay. Okay, I actually have my audio. I think it's it. Whoa. Our first sub-minute clear. Our first sub-minute clear. And I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't think my Yanagi would clear this in sub 1 minute. Cause ironically or unironically, I've been practicing with Yanagi and Miyabi a lot. Like that is like my most practiced team. Secondly is gonna be the Koleda team. I legit just used this team once off stream, and that's it. So to be fair, it's also the guy is weak to fire, right? So the guy is weak to fire, so he's gonna be receiving more damage. The flip side is the Memory of Chaos, or rather the shield defense buff. They buff your ice and electric. So I'll leave it up to you guys, but I think the bottom line is if the guy is neutral to both lightning and fire, I think it's pretty fair to say that BUHnice is not that far behind Yanagi, if not better, right? I think if this guy is neutral, maybe we just add on another 10 seconds. I feel like they are both around the same caliber. I think there's a pretty... I wouldn't say she's strictly better since the guy is weak to fire, but generally speaking, if you wanna ask me, this team was also quite manageable to use. It was quite manageable to use. Because BUHnice ultimate gives us a free quick assist, which is quite comfy. For Yanagi, I think you can get a better Yanagi performance if you ran Rina instead of Lucy. Because Rina helps us stack on the electric shock a little bit better, right? So definitely to each their own. But this one, you basically use an A-rank Lucy that everybody... She's basically Burnett, right? So I'm going to end off the 4 different teams showcase right here and just wrap up this entire video. With that, we have come to the end of After You Pull Miyabi. I hope you guys enjoyed this brand new little series. We're starting off this series with Zenless Zone Zero featuring Miyabi. Maybe we get more units in the future like Astra, Yao, Evelyn. You know, I can kind of cook it up a little bit. So advanced tips plus different team comps in the current scenario, right? So that's gonna be that. Word of the day is going to be I'm all ears. Did I say that before? I'm listening to the comments. Join Twitch, join YouTube, join Discord, join Twitter, all the best. Catch up. See you guys next time.